All right, what's up, guys? We are just going to get into the round of 32 March Madness bracket. So let me break it down for you. Not all jokes, but let's get into it. These are the 16 total games from Saturday and Sunday. Let's break them down. First, we have St. Louis versus Michigan. All right, guys. So first up, we had St. Louis versus Michigan. This game was pretty close near the end of the half. But after the first half, it was really just a blowout. And I think they did keep it close for a little bit in the second half. But outside of that, this game was just a complete blowout. But it was kind of a fun one to watch. All right, after that, we had Louisville versus Michigan State, which was another close one. Or not really another close one, but a close one. And it was a pretty good game overall. Louisville definitely came to play. And Michigan State just controlled the game the whole time. But still, overall, pretty good game. Pretty fun one to watch. And I didn't really watch much of the first half. But from what I saw in the second half, it was a close game, good game. Jeremy Fears definitely played well. And it was a good game. All right, next up we had TCU versus Duke. It was a blowout. And then after that, we had Texas A&M versus Houston, which was a blowout. And then Texas versus Gonzaga, which was another good game. Yeah, as you can see here, Texas was hitting their threes while Gonzaga wasn't. They weren't rebounding well, and Texas was just able to control the game most of the time. I think near the end of the second half, Gonzaga went up a couple times, but ultimately Texas just controlled the glass, controlled the three-point line, and they were able to take over the game at the end and end up winning. And a big standout from this game was their center. I'm not going to lie, I forget his name, but he was great. But ultimately Texas won. And then we had VCU versus Illinois, which was a blowout. And then Vanderbilt versus Nebraska, which was probably the best game of the tournament so far. Overall, just a very close game. Nebraska was hitting their shots. Vanderbilt was hitting their shots. Hoiberg was a big standout from this game. And this game was just overall really close. The freshman from Vanderbilt was also very good. But overall, just a really good game. Really fun one. And overall one that was probably the best from the tournament. Definitely the best offensive showing from the tournament. And the Nebraska game winner at the end was just very awesome. Right there. I think that one was just to tie it. This one ties it back up for Vanderbilt. No, that one was to tie it. And this is the game winner, which was pretty sick. Very fun one. Probably the best game of the tournament so far. And that one rims out, which definitely sucked for Vanderbilt. All right, next up, we had High Point versus Arkansas, which was a close one pretty much all the way through. Arkansas definitely took control at the end. But High Point played their hearts out as the only actually, I'm not sure if this is true, but one of the only non-Power 5 outside of St. Louis. One of the only non-Power 5 teams to make the round of 32. They played their hearts out. They tried their best. But ultimately, Acuff was just too much for them. But still a pretty good game. Arkansas definitely played well. And High Point definitely tried the hardest, which is sure not what they want to hear, which is what I'm sure is what they don't want to hear after this loss, but still a great game. Good shot making from both teams. Overall, pretty good game. Arkansas was just able to run away at the end. But High Point definitely put up a good fight. All right, and then we had Purdue, Miami, Kentucky, Iowa State, which were both blowouts. And then we had St. John's versus Kansas, which was another spectacular game with another game winner from a team. Just overall, a very good game. Two amazing coaches just going at it, trying to get their teams to the Sweet 16. And ultimately, Rick Pitino was able to get it done. Did I say Rick Pitino? Yes, Rick Pitino, sorry. And overall, just a really good game. Really fun one to watch. I think I did call Arkansas's coach Rick Pitino. I meant Calipari. But still a good game. Kansas kept it close. Bill Self. Now I got to prove my coach knowledge. Bill Self tried his hardest there. And so did Kansas. I mean, they controlled near the end, but ultimately St. John's was just able to get a good game winner at the buzzer, which is pretty ridiculous to watch, but overall, great game. All right, then we had Tennessee versus number 3 Virginia. This was a great game. Tennessee kind of just controlled it the whole time. They were able to get their offense going, which they have in the tournament outside of this round. But overall, really good game. Pretty fun one to watch. I really did think Virginia was going to be able to pull it off. And yeah, once again, just a good game. Fun one to watch. And ultimately, Tennessee was just able to pull away despite a lot of Virginia's efforts. They ended up winning and moved on to the Sweet 16. All right, next up, we had the biggest upset of the tournament so far. Number 9, Iowa versus number 1, Florida. This game was spectacular. Great shot making from both teams. Bennett Sturts didn't, well, I'd say he lived up to the hype. But I'd say he wasn't himself this game as far as shooting percentage. But outside of that, he was great. Their center was good as well for Iowa. I mean, Florida, their whole team didn't really play as good as they needed to, obviously. But they still played well. Iowa just got hot, and whenever Iowa gets hot, they're a hard team to beat. So, rough matchup for Florida there for a 9 seed, especially in the second round. But still, absolute respect to Iowa. That game winner was awesome. And, I'm a partial Florida fan, so I'm a little sad at that. But still, great game to watch. And pretty fun one. All right, next up, we had Utah State versus Arizona, which was a pretty solid game. Ultimately, Arizona was able to pull off with the win, move on to the Sweet 16. But Utah State did play well. They got the 3-point shooting going, which, I got to be honest, I'm not necessarily sure if Utah State is a big 3-point shooting team. But the freshman, forgetting his name, he was very good this game. Both the freshmen for Arizona were good this game. An overall good game. Arizona pulled off the win. UConn, UCLA was another blowout. But next we had Texas Tech versus Bama.
All right, what's up, guys? This is the outro. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I think the production quality is getting a little better than my past videos. So hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Well, I guess night is when I'm making this, but if it's the rest of your day, I hope it's the rest of your day as well. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.